All right, how's it going, folks? Now, this video, I'm still new to this concept, to be honest with you guys. And the more you go through YouTube and the articles and the news, the more is coming alight, to be honest with you guys. Now, this video is response to Lorraine, and she made a comment in one of my videos, as I mentioned about the what causes China to establish social credit, why it's been established at the first place. Now, this is a comment that she put. Thank you, buddy, for sharing your knowledge. Hopefully, lots of people will cotton on to your most helpful channel. Yes, Lorraine, I guess in this YouTube world, it's very tough to be showing up. Maybe I don't have a catchy thumbnail or title, and I guess something around there. But you know what? Speaking the truth it's the hardest thing ever. All right, or trying to break down and try to understand. Anyways, continue with the comment. Have a great weekend. Having a great weekend actually. I'm not having much work shifts, but so far so good. So I can make videos. Okay, back to the comment. With social credit in Australia, what will you be able to tell us? What can we expect? Now, I've put many links to back up on this, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying on this video. Now, the first link that I put on is Communism versus Socialism. What's the difference? Now, basically, it's cashless, classless, and it's like everyone is so equal. There's no bourgeoisie and the rich, and then you got the low class. The goal is to abolish the whole thing. Now, this sort of mentality is not breaking the human rights law, if you think about it. Now, the only country that recently gone full out of control socialism, and you guys may know it, is Venezuela. And what you see in Venezuela nowadays is pure hunger. This is the beginning stage. They say socialism is the beginning stage, and after that is communism. Now, I haven't attached this article down below, but you can download this Venezuela adapting the Chinese social credit model. Now, China used to be like the socialist model, all right? It's stated in our history when Mao Zedong came in power. What they did is make the rich class to do the poor class job, and the poor class having the rich class jobs. It's the same thing with all communist countries as well, including North Korea. Now, there was a cultural revolution. That was the stage where the poor was being lawyers out of nowhere, where the richest are turned to be farmers and factory workers. Now, that was like pretty or almost adapting the Marxist idea. Now, having all this, hello, my one view up there, all right? It is important to understand why this is going to be happening, all right? And, the most important part about this whole thing is the fact that if you introduce this sort of idea, is central government control, exactly what they did in China, in North Korea. You cannot say a word going against the government, because if I overheard you, I'll adopt the government, and the government rewarded me some extra physical needs. For example, bread, more bread. There's Lebanese bread, right, by any chance, or probably more rational food, and maybe some chili, a lot bigger glass of chili. Back in the Chinese Revolution, it was more food stamps era. I'm pretty sure most of the pre-communist era was like that. Now, we're heading to the phase that we are pushing for AI surveillance and cashless society. If you look, like I said, after this video, you can double check all my facts and everything, what is going on. I'm only speaking on in Australia because I'm from Australia, and I've got all these links down below. And one of the areas that it will happen is, I think the ones that's pushing very hard is, we went through two wars with China and Russia, regards to Korean War and the Vietnam War. The goal is to stop communism to be spread. However, in today's world, it's completely different. China is not using tactics to use guns or bullets or bombs right in front of you to invade countries. What they're trying to do now is using cash, money, because money is a universal language, right? In any country, all you talk about is money, they talk about it. Now, why people are getting, or third world countries and first world countries getting money from China? Well, first off, there's no condition, like really big condition behind it. And it can be like a cheap interest rate or things like that, and you borrow as much as you want, right? I don't think other countries have that sort of likelihood, or they have to go through too much hurdles to go through. Now, to the viewer, you're one viewer at the moment. You have any comments, you comment down below. I'm more than happy to comment. All right. So I'll just proceed the video as normal it is. So it is important to understand that, like, the links that are put down below. All right. Now, one of them is Perth. I haven't put the Northern Territory because I've already made a video about it. So Northern Territory is one of them, and Victoria. Now, those who, there was a huge news going on last year regards to Victorian state. Andrews is the state premier. All right. I'm living in Victoria, Melbourne City, one of the most livable city in the world until we lost last year. Now, when we have that kicked in, right? There was a huge news last year stating that why does the Andrew government go speak with China and signing the Belt and Road Initiative, which is BRIC, right? And getting 100 million, 100 billion, one of the number figures for free. Getting the large amount of money. And Scott Morrison, that's our Prime Minister of Australia, stated that why you deliberately, secretly go to China signing a deal without letting us know, or the federal government to know what are you up to. And now, what do Andrew government accept this money? All I see is phony. And on the article it stated it's going to building the to-do list and infrastructure. It creates jobs and trades. Well, technically, what I see in Victoria, in my neighborhood right now, where I'm living in Bundoora, is they're building some phony ass roads and phony ass roundabouts and speed humps, unnecessary, and more traffic lights, which is really unnecessary to blow cash like that. Now, these sort of infrastructures and jobs are not just a 1 month. They take more than bloody 2 years. We've got a bloody road and plenty of roads taking more than 2 years and still hasn't been completion on building that bloody road. I'm letting you know. And there's a bloody traffic jam all the way through. Now, in the future what is between the war with Australia, if the China with the US war, with the trade war, is the fact that China is winning all the way through. Regardless if it's 5G, regardless if technology, telecommunication, China has the power to build anything that the country wanting to build. For example, highways, sky highways, and then fast bullet trains as well. Fast trains. I've gone to one of those fast trains in China. Magnificent. It's very fast. Soundless. It's very, very great. Now, a lot of European countries, and as well with parts of countries around the world, even Japan and Australia, is getting the electric buses, public buses from China as well. And it's a huge threat because now China is snatching all the stuff because, first off, cheap labor, cheap goods, cheap infrastructure, instead of spending gazillions of money into certain areas being pumped. Anyway, I'll talk about that later on. So, and that's Victoria. Now, in Western Australia, I know in the news this week when I was working that the Perth has launching trials of the AI camera. Now, the trials on the AI camera Now articles are coming out. What's the warning? What's the threat? Blah blah blah. Now they want to do the same thing with Northern Territory, adapting this sort of environment. And you're telling me why is this happening? Now there can be multiple problems. All right. First things first is the Western world has failed to counter uh, protect citizens from terrorism or random attacks. All right. Now they spend gazillions of money in terrorism, you know, security. They spend gazillion of money, and it's still happening in today. All right. Now having the AI camera will read everyone, whether it's a high risk or a low risk. Right. Now, unfortunately, in the future, I'm going to classify as a high risk because I'm a visionary. I speak with my mind and I make this sort of videos. These guys don't like me, so people are going to low rate me. It's pretty much I have to shut my mouth and be like everyone else, like a sheep, to order to live in the society. And many YouTubers right now has been demonetized or close to be, deleted their channel, and it's because of they classify as hate speech. Now, if you're really against the lefty ideology, you're classified as a hate speech, and you know where the alternative or the right wing saying that this is a freedom of speech and this and that. Now, making this sort of videos, of course, the YouTube and the society will say I'm a right wing straight away. Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that I do not associate with right wing. I do have strong values on conservatives values. But however, not everyone is a lefty, not everyone is a human right, not everyone values high one or the other. Okay, I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. I'm saying from my experience, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, and jigsaw puzzle from my personal experience and everything together. All different knowledges. All right. Not creating a moral panic to you guys. I'm just wanted to, to brainstorm and work together to find out the answer. And I'm very, very scared of the future. I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to China last year and last 2 years ago. I went to electrical buses and high speed rail and AI camera, and the infrastructure in China is first class. First world countries should have this sort of technology. Let's put it that way. And it scares me. Now there's so much ongoing in China, and it's gonna get improving, and this is why China will be the dominance. Now, what happened when our US has lost their power is the country will shift to China, and you got to work their way, because really working the American way, we have the human rights, we have the UN. We the central of the policing of the world. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. I'll bomb your country if you do this. I'll make threats to you because I'm a powerful country. I'm flexing my muscles. And now China's doing the same thing, where right now the Western world is literally in decline, a huge decline at the moment. A lot of third world countries are really liking what China's doing because, what happened in the past, in the history, there's always, the war, blood has been shed by these first world countries, and exploitation and globalization. The country is not growing where they've been so much. So that's the reason behind. So you have that. Now, what would it look like if it goes to your country? First things first. Now, depending on your government, will accept a large amount of sum. And what happens if they don't pay it off? Well, it's like me telling you this, all right? You sign a contract, all right? I give you a shark loan. I give you $1,000. I give it to you, all right? I gave it to you $1,000. Now, whether you're going to pay me back, there's a monthly or weekly repayment. Now, there's principal and interest. Now, obviously, at the beginning, you start paying interest off instead of principal. Now, what happens when you stop paying? There's consequences, right? Well, in $1,000, that's a piece of cake. You put my name blacklisted because it's a bad credit. William is a bad credit. I do not have a good credit system. I earn $1,000. I do not pay up $1,000. For example, another one, a car loan as well. If I get a car, choo-choo car, and I make a loan, it's harder for a car loan because they know the car loan is a huge risk. They know the fact that if I don't pay my repayments every month, well, to them the car is worthless. Like it devalues the moment I drive the brand new car out of this, their dealership. It will go now, right? So you have to understand. But housing is a different story. Housing, as you know, housing prices goes up or remains the same, or perhaps in Australia, unfortunately, prices have steady or declined. Now, houses is not a huge like for them. It's like they can always get their money back. Now, let's just get back with the Chinese loan. All right. So I gave you $100 million. There you go. Now, if you don't pay back the principal or perhaps the interest, what's going to happen is the fact that there's consequences, right? I got a rights. So you take ports for 99 years lease, or you take this mining for 99 years lease, or you do something in behind. And also, I'm going to add something in return. You have to buy our technology because you own us. You get it? And this is where the dominance power kicks in. And this is where a lot of third world country has already signed up for it. Now, first world countries, Italy just signed up for it. Thank you. And many of them want free money. The Western world is very poor at the moment. Quarter of the taxes or more has been pumped through the social security welfare. This is the one thing that really crippled the Western world, the social welfare, and very, very strong emphasis of the human rights. Now, for me to answer this comment, right, for me to make it. So towards the end of the comment, she's mentioned, with social credit in Australia, will you be able to tell us what can we expect? Now, I'm not sure what Australia will go to. And I'm going to make another video regards to this. But I'm only speaking as a whole, all right? Now, first, we adapt to this AI infrastructure, all right? Two, we have this policing state. Everyone is being monitored. Yes, we've managed to control the terrorism and all the Africans attacks robberies attacks in Melbourne, Victoria. It could be followed two ways. There's going to be two ways outcome. But depending what the country will go through. The country wants to go to communism path, or the country will go through, I think it will be similar to communism, but a slash with human rights. And I believe Australia will slash with human rights with communism. So what I mean by that is, as you can see in today's world, you cannot talk shit or bad about the rainbow community, the LGBT community. You cannot talk bad about it. Before you can, now is you get punished. Whether you're athletics, whether you're actor, actress, sportsman, or even workplace, you talk bad about this community, you lose your job. Not only just lose your job, your face is in the history book. Now, I'll give you some example. Now, you can pause the video and you can type like, Stephanie Rice was Australian swimmer, and she's a championship. She gets gold medal. And one day she mentioned a gay slur in her comment. Immediately she apologized. But since that day, we never heard her name ever. She's out of the history book. She's been destroyed. There's no way she'll regain back. Another one, Israel Folau. He lost his job because he mentioned top 10 commandments of being sinful in the Christian Bible, Holy Bible. You lose your job. Another one, Me Too movement. What a person has done in the history in the past, even 10 or 20 years, will still haunt them back and loses that person's job. if you make sexist comments, you can say, I apologize for making a sexist comment, but your surrounding circle will view you very different afterwards. And it's going to be there with you. That's why I say this human rights thing, I believe the Western world, especially Australia, will have the human rights / communism. And I don't know how deep it's going to go, since you have Me Too movement, and as well the rainbow community, and as well the feminism, and even deeper, because it works aligns with the human rights. You cannot talk bad with the African communities in Melbourne, or the terrorism. You cannot claim that sort of words. And the Muslim community, you cannot talk bad about them. You talk bad about everything of them, you're classified as a hate speech. You're classified, you'd be demonetized. Whether you're Tommy Robinson, whether you're Milo, whether you are Lauren Southern, whether you are Fraser Anning, Mark Latham, Pauline Hanson, you'll be shut down. And you'll be blamed as Nazi scum. Or right now what they're trying to do is the education system is to bash on the white privilege men, destroy men, and empower women and marginalized groups so high up there, really, really high up there. All right, where religion is not regards or reality. They just blame men all the way through. Who built this law? Men. Who built this abortion law? Men. Who created the Sexual Discrimination Act? Men. They're gonna blame all the way men. Who created this recession? Men. Who created this depression? Men. Who created World War One? Men. Who's gonna create World War Two? Men. Who's gonna create World War Three? Men. And who's gonna create World War Four? Maybe Trump. They're gonna blame men all the way through, and I think men and myself, I'm gonna be very, very silent and fear in the future, even today as well. And I go through that sort of academics. It's all about blaming men all the way through, white men, and how we have more privilege. The 10-pound joke, the British or the English who came to Australia by 10 pound, and now they're running the whole government, the parliament, and they have this social $1 million or this white privilege boys clubs in the parliament, where now you got Labor, Australian Labor is 50-50 gender racial, where liberals are conservative. How dare you, you're liberal and you don't have 50-50 gender racial diversity. How come there's no diversity? These are the sort of stuff that we will get to see what's going to be like the social credit in Australia and third world country. If it sounds really familiar, I'll say the first world country, if it sounds really familiar, it's going to be banged on really hard, really, really hard this time. And it's going to be even furthermore, even deeper. Yes, it will be, but I don't know how deep. I cannot imagine where it goes, because I'm trying to find out as well. To my single viewer out there, do you have any comments? Because I know you put one thumbs up. Because I'm actually running out of material now. Is there something that I haven't recovered, or you disagreed? You can write it down. I'm more happy. We could talk it through. I'll talk it through, but I'll say my point of view and things like that. And when you have that sort of power on getting someone's money for free, and this shark loan is 100 million. That's what Victoria used 100 million. 100 million. Darwin is 500 million. That's the ports, right? Now, China is a place that it was designed to have this sort of social credit. All right, and All right, that viewer hasn't replied anything. I think I'll end the video. I'm gonna make another video similar to this topic, but I'll more talk about in Australia who will be the first country will be socialist or slash human rights and communism, and I'll explain to you why. All right.